Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the June 2025 mortgage update. We've got myself here, Ron Cole, in the lovely Victoria Street offices on this glorious day on the in the middle towards the end of June. It's soon flying past, Richard, isn't it? And I'm joined by Mr. Richard Burton, who is from our wonderful mortgage partners over at BHM Mortgages, who's winged his way down to also be in Victoria Street today. Good to see you, Richard.
Nice to see you too, Ron, and it is an absolutely beautiful day today. I must agree with you there.
Yeah. So, Richard, it's now 1:45 on the 19th. The base rate has stayed the same. They've plumbed for keeping it the same, probably brought a little bit around inflation and maybe what's happening in the wider world. But I think one of the things that scares people, or not scares, makes them a little bit uneasy, is what the base rate does to the overall mortgage market. Richard, what does it actually do to the overall mortgage market in under 30 seconds? Go for it, please.
What a fabulous question. So it does indirectly affect the mortgage market, but it doesn't have an immediate change for every single rate that's out there. So at the moment, we're actually seeing fixed rate mortgages start to come down a bit, despite the fact that the Bank of England base rate has remained the same. It's got a lot to do with market confidence. And at the moment, when the group of people decide on the Bank of England base rate, there's 9 people who effectively take a vote, and 6 of them voted for it to stay the same, but 3 actually voted for it to come down. So that gives the whole market confidence that we will see rates begin to fall. But at the moment, fixed rates are steadily falling as well, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's where I think our general public don't get that information as much as we would like to hear them get it. That it was not everything depends upon the Bank of England's base rate. There's lots of other things that affects just apart from mortgage lending. Talking about mortgage lending, Richard, every time we see you, you've got some interesting news about what's always a hot topic, which is first time buyer reasonable deposit mortgages. Is there anything in particular that's jumping off the page as far as amazing deals? Not to try and sell them, but is there anything really juicy and good out there if you're a first time buyer?
Yeah, I mean, yes, is the short answer to that. So, but I will expand on that slightly. So, there's lots and lots of mortgages available now with a 5% deposit, and the rates are not horrendous. So, way back in the day, 3 or 4 years ago, it used to be really punished for those small deposits, and that's not really the case anymore. Obviously, the larger deposit you can get, great, but with the 5% deposit, you're still going to get a good rate. There's even a couple of lenders which will look at lending with no deposit for first-time buyers.
I've been there before.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can work in a fabulous way. The best thing to do is to obviously seek advice. Happy to help people whenever they wish, but to find the best route for each individual to make sure they're getting the best deal for themselves. But yes, there's good mortgages out at the moment, Mum.
Great stuff, Richard. One of the other questions I get asked a lot by our vendors, because they're not first-time buyers, they're our vendors, about porting mortgages, taking their existing deal, be it with any high street lender or any lender, and moving that onto another property. And it can be, on the face of things, a little bit complicated, a little bit scary, a little bit worrying. It's not, though, is it?
No, it's not. So it can be daunting, and it's amazing how many people do not know. They believe if they're within a fixed rate and they want to move house, they have to get another fixed rate with another mortgage company and ordinarily pay a penalty to come out of that. It's not the case. With the majority of lenders, you can, as you've said, port that mortgage, lift it up, take it to the new property with you. If you need to borrow some extra or pay some off, you can do that as well. It's not restrictive. However, the process is quite complicated. But again, we're absolutely here to help with that. We can streamline that, make it as simply as we possibly can, but absolutely worth people looking into that in a little bit more detail.
Okay, thanks, Richard. Speaking to a really good long-term client, a vendor who's a multiple landlord, and he said to me, "You know what, Ron? I'm not going to buy anything else because I can't. I'm terrified of looking at buy-to-let mortgage deals." I said, "Well, you know what? I think they're not as scary and as terrible as they were last time I checked." And there is still a fantastic buy-to-let mortgage in and around our wonderful city and the wider area. Richard, what's the buy-to-let mortgage rates look like at the moment? Are they terrifying?
No, in fact, completely the opposite. Buy-to-let mortgage rates are coming down quicker than residential mortgage rates, in all honesty.
Really? There you go.
the thing that was scaring people, and understandably so, is when people are buying a second property, buying a property to rent out, there's something called a stress test on there, which means the rental income really has to be high enough to more than match the mortgage. And that was uncomfortable for some people. It was stressed at such a high level, it was making it very hard for people to get mortgages. However, those stress rates with many lenders have now come down dramatically, which means it's easier now for people to buy that second home, to have a property to rent out, to look for future investment. Far, far easier to do so in the current climate.
Richard, that's a really, really interesting answer, and I think it'll be surprising to quite a lot of my landlords and clients. I think I'll share that with them when I speak to them over the next few weeks. The wider market, Rich, get questioned all the time, and I always refer people to you to talk to you about it properly, and not just my sort of stuttering in and around it. How does the rest of the year look? You know, what do interest rates look like for the rest of the year? We've got some wider issues. We all know that. We're not going to sit here and tell there's no wider issues. Of course there is. However, what does it look like? What's the landscape for the next 6 months?
So, I don't know is the very short answer. I wish I did. I wish I could tell people exactly what's going to happen. However, I can predict, but it is just a prediction. People do believe that the Bank of England base rate is going to come down. Didn't today, but they're looking at it maybe once, maybe twice more over the next sort of 6 months or so. We can't count on that because, as you said, the wider world and world events can affect things in negative and positive ways. So we don't know. If those rates do come down, I'd like to see you think that fixed rates would come down as well. So my hope is that we'll see things continue to fall. The big thing I would say to people is don't hold off buying a property in the hope that rates come down, because if rates do come down, other people are also going to be looking for properties. Of course they will. And equally as importantly, if we were to do an application for somebody today and rates fell next week, we can actually still get you those lower rates going forwards. We can get it right up to the point effectively of you moving into the property. Not quite that late, but close to it. So worth doing things now, and we can review it during the process run.
That's really, really cool, Richard. Thank you very much. And it does let me think, let me know that, you know, if we have got purchasers that are, you know, not asking the question, they should. We've got vendors that are not asking the question, they should. In fact, just the wider public in general. I think we see a lot of things in media that, you know, are negative. But until you ask and dig in, there's some bargains to find. There's some money to be saved, and I would love to help people do that. So, Richard, thank you very much indeed. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day on this lovely sunny day here in St Albans. And thanks very much for your time.
It's always a pleasure, Ron. Thank you as well.
Cheers now, mate.
Bye-bye.